Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Easy Life Podcast. My name is Helen Vane. I am here with my partner in crime, Christian Xerxes. Say hello.
Hello, everyone. This is Christian.
Okay. We have had our podcast out since 2022. There was a little gap here that kind of, stopped our progress. Yeah, we're back. Always been here, but I am here to talk more about a reintroduction of who we are, what we do, and why are we even doing this. Number one, I want to thank you for listening, and I want to give you a little brief idea of who we are. So my name, as I said it's Helen Vane. I am an SMP artist, but I'm just not an SMP artist. I'm more than that. I'm a brand. I am a brand content creator. I'm very good with those that are seeking a lot of marketing when it comes to branding their business, slogans, and taglines. I mean, when I say I'm great, I can take anything randomly and really create a really good tagline and slogan. Okay, but furthermore, who are we? Honestly, who are we? Well, we're doing this because Easy Life is a more of a symbol here. And it's the funny thing because easy life is a lifestyle. Having an easy life is the irony behind it, because we all know that life isn't easy. However, life is so much more easier when you're happy. That's the bottom line. It's a lifestyle that you want to live. Now, yes, right now, as Let's Chat SMP, I'm an SMP artist, and so is Christian here. We're two master SMP artists that want to reintroduce ourselves in a new perspective and really tell you guys our story. Now, there's a lot of content that's going to go out moving forward. So this is just a brief introduction of who we really are, why we do the things we do. But let's get into the nitty-gritty stuff and everything that we do. I wrote in one of our posts, we're here to spill ink. Well, it's the same concept as spilling the tea. We want to bring a more fun, creative, more real, and I mean a real approach when it comes to the scalp micropigmentation industry. What's it about? What you really are getting involved with, and those that want a non-biased point of view. And that's why we're here we're setting out and making a point of why we really want to create more content. Not just for those already in the industry. I mean, there's a lot going on in the industry that a lot of people really don't know, understand, or they're just oblivious from what's going on. However, Christian and I have a very long, and I mean a long understanding of what scalp micropigmentation really is about and those trying to get involved. So why we're here to make a point is because it's important. It's important to everybody coming in. And you got to have different perspective, different opinions. But having an easy life isn't just what it says, easy life. I mean, you run through challenges in life. You run through a lot of obstacles, sabotage. I mean, yes, even people who are haters, like, and more moving more towards our podcast. I'm going to talk a lot about the industry. I'm going to talk a lot about training. I'm going to talk a lot about life. I'm going to talk a lot about those that are in business and trying to jump over certain hoops when it comes to either you're in a relationship, whether you're married, you're a parent, and you're dealing with businesses. How do you deal with business, people in the industry? How do you deal with people that are not in the industry? What's really important? What is the difference between business to business, business to consumer? Why is it important for a lot of SMP artists that are already in the industry? Why do they engage with those that are coming in? And for you to really understand this, some things, it could be very insightful to the point that it could really change your perspective. A mindset that it helped me years ago of really understanding where I stood when it came to business. And I honestly had the opportunity to get involved at the time I got in, because I know now when people get involved, they're not going to get the same kind of opportunities. And I mean the information wise, and those that are in the industry. I know everybody and anybody that you can potentially understand when those started and those who are in it now. Okay, so Christian had a lot of opportunities. I mean, we really did get really did get in at the right time, at the right moment, which is where we're at now here. So moving forward, I am going to talk a lot about not just our journey, but of course the SMP in general. Now remember, it's not all about SMP, because whenever I launch SMP content, it's going to be on my SMP Boss Lady, or of course I'll put it in an Easy Life podcast, but mainly that is directed for SMP only. When it comes to the Easy Life podcast, it will be other stuff, not just SMP. Let's just get that straight. But however, if you are in business, you're going to still want to follow it, because it's about life. It's about relationships. It's about business. It's about how to market yourself. It's about what to do when you come through obstacles. It's about even haters, okay? Not emphasizing on them, because they are really the least of your worries. It's more about how to handle life in general, and how to really enjoy a lifestyle that is a lot more easier when you fully have a mindset that's free. You want to be free. You can be very successful if you're free. And I'm going to talk a lot about this. I'm also going to talk about some of the past things that I had encountered, some of the challenges, what happened to certain accounts like Dear SMP Bosses, SMP for Women, some of the trends that I started, and that I'm so glad that a lot of people are still, like SMP for Women, that's still being used today. I started that. And I'm really happy that a lot of people, in fact, that the content, when it first started, it was hair loss for women, hair loss for men. When I came out for SMP for Women, boom, that changed everything. That was like the biggest game changer, because next thing you know, it started to change the websites. The websites, all these other websites started to change it. And for me, I was so excited. I was like, yay, that was great. Just the things that I had created and building when I first got in. Again, that's what I mean about opportunities. I had an opportunity to create when there was basically nothing in the industry at the time, opening up more doors. And now there's more doors open, and that's great. That's amazing. It don't mean that people can stop creating. People are going to keep on creating. This is why we're relaunching our Let's Chat SMP. It's still Easy Life podcast, because it's a lifestyle. You're in a lifestyle that you're living day by day. And Christian and I want to bring up perspective on why we want to not only bring a new perspective, but better perspectives. It's not just us. It's a lot of people that really want to know on journeys. It does help others, and it does bring more opportunities. And I know that sometimes being in being a small industry, it can be very difficult for a lot of people, especially those before me. They still run by fear. Unfortunately, it's a tragedy that they run by fear, and kind of want to micromanage. But again, that's something that why it's important to bring more perspective, more opportunities, and more content. There's so many different pathways that can be opened up to a lot of people. But when you don't have those kind of spaces to get in, it really does limit growth. And that's why we are launching this. So yes, I want you guys to really follow me. I want you to I'm going to be promoting this, by the way. I will be promoting this. This is just our first channel coming out right now. When it comes to SMP only, which is scalp micropigmentation. That's going to be Let's Chat SMP. And why do I say Let's Chat? Well, we moved to a new city called Chattanooga, and that's why I was inspired. Chat, what's the chatter? Let's chat. So Let's Chat SMP. This is why I called it Let's Chat SMP. It's still under the name Easy Life Podcast, because it's not just what you do. You can do one skill. You can be very good at anything. It can be sewing, it can be cooking, but that's not it. It's more to life than just what you do. It's everything that you do in life that can get you further up the ladder and true growth. And that right there, that is what we're going to really tackle on when it comes to scalp micropigmentation industry. Okay, so again, I know I do a lot of the chit chatter, but believe me, Christian here, my partner in crime, this guy, when he opens up himself as well and he can talk,
I can talk.
Exactly. So I want to really welcome you to following me, and please just every other Friday, we're going to be launching just for SMP. Okay, we're going to be taking out more content, by the way. Some content is not going to be for SMP, but for those who are in the scalp micropigmentation industry and you're new and you just want to hear just only relevant to SMP, every other Friday, it's going to be on my SMP Boss Lady. I'll be posting it there. But again, there's going to be a whole lot of other content on Easy Life Podcast, so you may want to be following me there as well. Okay. All right. Well, look, much love. Let's keep this growing, and that's it for now. And we'll be talking our next segment about what happened to dear SMP bosses and SMP boss lady, and some of the things that was created that was shifted to another perspective. So it's a good story at the very end. It's always good to have happy endings. You know what I mean? So we're really excited that some of these challenges had pushed us to certain obstacles, but at the end of the day, a happy ending happened. So, everybody loves happy ending stories, right? All right. Well, thank you for listening, and stay tuned for next Let's Chat SMP and every other Friday. Okay? Take care.